when you go up there, if you stumble, you fall. Hey, that happens. It's the same thing. Anybody that's played athletics, that's why you have a coach.
Exactly. This is a great information on podcasting. I know our listeners probably have papers with notes because I have a number of them in front of me, just the information you've been sharing. And Martha, I want to just thank you for sharing all this information and just giving all these great tips out for our listeners today.
Yeah. One more question for me anyway. Is there an optimal length for a podcast? I know you break yours into segments, and we just do our entire 50 minutes. Is there a way that you found that's better for the listeners?
When I first started, and this is one of those things that it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we talked about it.
Yes. I've learned that.
and when I first started, I did a 1 hour show, which is 50 minutes with the commercials and intro and outro and all that stuff, and it worked really well. But what's happened is the environment has changed, and people are so busy now that they're looking more for 30-minute shows or less sometimes even. Mm-hmm. So what I've started doing is I will take an hour interview and I will chop it up into 2 30-minute segments, or I could even do it into 15-minute segments, depending on the topic and, what's going on, obviously. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And again, it depends on your audience. What I have found out that the women entrepreneurs and moms that I'm dealing with are juggling around kids, running back here and forth. An hour is a lot to expect from them. So yes. I've cut back my shows to 30 minutes, and I just did that fairly recently. And I've been trying out a couple of segments, a couple of different mechanisms. So I'm sort of on hiatus with my show right now in the process of doing that and fine-tuning it. But I think the key for my audience is 30 minutes. If you're talking about, let's say, I don't know, if you're talking about physicians, say your audience was physicians, I think 15 minutes is the max you're going to get from them.
You're probably right on there on that, yes.
Well, so definitely. And I was going to say, and what you've done and what you just shared with our audience, and I know I've seen you transform over these last 5 years of knowing you. When you first started doing your radio show, you had it, like you mentioned in the beginning of our broadcast today, that it was a whole different name, and then you changed the name. So then you had to do some different rebranding, and now you have stepped back because you're making some changes in your podcast, going from the hour show now down to 30 minutes, because you're learning from your audience. And that, again, goes back to that number 5 tip you gave: listen to your audience. And prior to that, know who your audience is.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I can do a 30-minute show, and then if they have a lot of valuable information, do another 30 minutes, post the 30-minute show, and the other half an hour, put it on my membership site as a bonus for my members. There you go.
So now you're really making sure that your membership site has that extra value to the members. They can get something here where everyone is getting it, but they get those added bonuses. I love that idea.
Yeah,
make them very special.
Because they are special.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We're in the process of, as you know, being a member of our membership site as well. We have been on a hiatus and doing some changes and getting ready to roll out some great stuff here in the upcoming fall. So, yeah, we're always making tweaks so that we can make sure we're providing the information that we know is going to be beneficial and valuable to those that want to connect with us.
Absolutely.
Well, before we end
I wanted to say something to you guys. I think you guys have done an amazing job. you took this idea, this challenge you put on yourselves, and you have done such a great job with this show. So,
oh my goodness,
my hat's off to you.
Well, thank you. When we have the support team like we do with you and others, that just keep rah-rahing us and encouraging us, it does keep us moving forward because we, as you are, we're all about the education. We want to make sure our listeners walk away with things that they can take action with immediately. And because that's what makes them want to come back for more.
Yep, absolutely.
What makes me want to do it. Get up here every week and go through the exercise of having the show. Mm-hmm. It's because of guests like Martha. It's because the audience gets so involved with what we're doing. That's motivating to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and with that, I would love to have this be, kind of before we have, about 9 more minutes here with our audience, but I want to make sure that they hear from you what you attribute your success to.
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. And I think we've touched a little bit on some of those things, but
yeah.
There are really 3 main things that I attribute, my successes and edits that make myself successes, because sometimes success doesn't come quickly, but it comes eventually, is that I always had a goal. Even when I had the first radio show and didn't quite have it right, my goal in that first radio show was really to just begin and identify where I was heading, because I didn't really know which was my niche market, and that was the goal for that show. And it accomplished exactly that. And it was a realistic goal. So, it helped me fine-tune it. I would not change anything that I did, quite frankly, in my instance, because it really helped me not just for the radio show, but also for my business. And this is what's really incredible, that what I did in terms of narrowing down my target market in the radio show also helped me narrow down my my niche and my target market in my business as well.
Wow.
So it's very powerful. So you have to have a goal. And your goal is going to change, okay? Don't get hung up on that. What my goal is for the first radio show was not my goal for the second radio show. The goal for the second radio show was more about providing women entrepreneurs with business strategies and tips so they can thrive in today's marketplace. That was my goal. End of story. And, it's still that goal. That one hasn't changed. The format, the execution may change in this one, because as you know, I'm changing the format a little bit in terms of 50 minutes to 30 minutes. So that's fine. But the goal is the same so far. So I had a goal. The next one is I had a marketing strategy. And just begin with something. It doesn't have to be perfect, but begin with something. And for me, the marketing strategy was all about building those relationships initially, because without those relationships, nothing else comes along. If you go to any sales coach, they'll tell you the first step in sales is you have to build a relationship and rapport. Well, what better way than with a podcast, right?
So simple, so amazing. Yeah, just wow.
Yeah. And then the very third one, which we've discussed as before, I took action. It wasn't perfect, but I took action. I leaped in. And if you ever heard my first show, it was like, oh God, I want to hide. And I want to take it off the internet, but I can't. Once it's out there forever. It was horrifying, guys. Oh, it was horrifying.
It's funny when you say that, because of course our very first radio show was with you, and we knew we wanted to have the best on our very first show because we were I was so nervous. I don't know, Richard, he's always cool and collected, He just rolls with the punches. Me, I wanted to have everything scripted. I wanted to have all my, my bullets in front of me and everything. So we knew we had to have Martha A. Sanchez with us. And it was the perfect show. And it didn't get recorded. It was like we about died, and I remember having to let you know, Martha, I don't have a copy of that show. I was heartbroken because to me this is a big step for us, and we really couldn't wait to get going with it. And I wanted to just push that out to everyone and share it so that we would, because I knew that would really take us to that next level, and then not to have a show to do that. So again, when we did our anniversary show, and we did our which was last month, we talked about some of the bloopers and some of the things that had happened over the last year, and it was just really funny, just kind of recollecting those thoughts and things that happened, and the countdown clock and the intro and getting the commercials right inside our, and with our. If we had at that time we were on an AM station, so we had in-studio guests too, and it was all a learning curve, and we're constantly ever growing. So these tips that you attribute to you, I can definitely relate with.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. The audience is forgiving. The audience is forgiving for certain things because they realize it's real. It's live. Mm-hmm. It's real.
Exactly.
So they're okay. It's the quality.
Exactly.
The quality of the audio is the one thing that people are less forgiving for. I mean, if you have a little blurb here and there, no big deal. But the quality is important during the course of the whole entire show. So
Exactly. Well, this has just been a joy having you with us, Martha. As we venture to that next level that we are taking our radio show here now on talknetworkradio.com, again, taking it immediately into the podcast arena so that it is out there for everyone to listen to and we can share it out there with everyone. So we definitely want to thank you so very much for sharing all your great information here, and I challenge all of our listeners to go out and just try it. To definitely just try and create that podcast. So what I want to make sure is that you let everyone know, again, how they can connect with you so that they can learn more about your membership site, and also where they can connect with you on social media.
Absolutely. My website is marthaasanchez.com, and you can find more about my membership site on the membership tab. Or you can also, if you have any questions, you can connect with me via my website on the contact page as well, marthaasanchez.com. And my Facebook page is martha.a.sanchez.75, because there are a lot of Martha Sanchez. I am not the same.
Exactly. And I will definitely place these, again, on our So Social Radio Show Facebook page, as well as on the website where your information is, so they can learn more about you there from the SoSocialRadioShow.com page as well.
Our time's up. Can you believe it? My goodness, it just went so fast. And Martha, we want to thank you so much for being our guest today on that. And remember to tune in each Wednesday at noon on talknetworkradio.com to the So Social Radio Show, so you can have more fun.
And Richard's favorite, more profits. Definitely want to make sure everyone understands that they can take this and download it on your iPhone, and you can also go grab the Talk Network Radio app as well and listen to it on your iPod, your iPhone, I should say. You can date me there, right there, iPhone, or your Android. So we are out there for everyone to listen. So everyone, go out, make it a great social week. Bye-bye.
Bye.